Hey everyone.
Hello.
Hello, friends. Happy Wednesday. So glad that all of you are here. Aw.
Oh, what a day.
Good morning, good afternoon. Hi, Bonnie.
Hi, Liz. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. How you doing?
Good. Doing good. We are super psyched because we have some new audio equipment, so I think you can hear us really well now. Yeah,
Right.
super exciting. So you can, just pop in the comments if the sound sounds good to you, and say hello. Tell us where you're from. Love knowing where everyone's coming in from. And so happy that all of you are here, and we're really excited today to talk about help.
Help.
Yeah, right. I know.
Wait, hold on, Bonnie, before you. So our listeners might not know, but I did challenge you right off the bat to that dance, remember?
Yeah.
So for those
all about dancing, I will be happy.
I know.
So I really love gifts, and when people, when I'm welcoming you into the group, I love finding just really silly ones. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you and Sharon, you've had my number. You're like, shout out, challenge accepted.
So for those that don't know, Bonnie, a couple days ago. Well, if as you are welcomed into the group, as anyone's welcome to the group, Bonnie tends to put a fun GIF, and she does love them. But the other day I was like, oh, Bonnie, I'd really love to see you perform this dance move. And she's like, sure. And I was like, all right, we're going to hold you to it.
Yay. Good morning, Joy. How are you? Welcome. So the Carlton dance, what is it? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That was definitely a show that was on in my youth for sure that I watched. And Carlton is awesome. Do you have like music?
I do. Oh, how'd you know me so well? I have music. Would you be able to pull up what you're going to do?
Oh gosh, let's see.
And all the music I was planning on.
Okay, let me see. It's so funny, you guys.
Thanks, Sharon, for the extra push. Hi, Joy. Let's see here. Let me find the song I was thinking about.
See if it will work here. It always does kind of a funky double screen thing. Can you see that?
Oh, hold on. I'm getting the music. Yep. All right, y'all. We're going to see.
Oh, man. Yep, that is the Carlton dance. I'm going to try to get the mouth down, the hands down. Okay, legs down.
All right, I got the music going for you. I'm going to turn it up.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing so you can see me. Okay, plug in.
Watch your headphones.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go.
Your blood like winter freezing just like ice. Cold lonely light that shines from you.
There was another one that was like TFA one or something. There was another Running Man and dancing one.
That's pretty good, I gotta say.
The Carlton was my favorite.
Yeah, it looks hard.
Oh gosh, so glad I can humor you.
Well done, thank you.
Like a little bit of laughter to start the day. Yeah, get my heart pumping a little bit.
And talent.
Yeah, hey, thanks. I know.
Hi, Maria. I agree.
Oh my goodness, so silly. Yeah, well, maybe we should have had help. I need somebody. Help. Anybody. Right?
That would have been smart of me. Yeah.
This morning for our help session. So the resilience cards I had shown all of you. Oh, here's my deck from Community Resilience Initiative. I have no affiliation with these people, but they're just great. Great. I love their research. I love their work. And they just have these cards that are resilience-based cards. And Liz and I were just chatting earlier this week about what we were going to talk about today. And we're always kind of course, looking for things that are really relevant to what's happening right now. And this was coming up quite a lot just behind the scenes. And we've just been blown away too by how you've been sharing your stories and really putting out there like the things that you need help with. And I just want to really honor and acknowledge how brave that is, it's so amazing. So today we just thought we'd talk about two really can be very difficult things, right? Learning to accept help and learning to ask for help. So maybe pop in the chat if you have a hard time doing either of those things from time to time. I know that for many of us, that, and we'll talk more about it as we go, but that those two things can be really, really difficult.
Yeah, and I like how you talk about the vacillating states, Bonnie. Share the way you've put that for me.
So I shared that quote, I think, into the group on Instagram somewhere, but it's kind of one of my favorite things because I think about it a lot, right? That we're all in vacillating states of either being able to give love or needing to receive it. And sometimes from literal moment to moment, right? Like we might be in a moment where we feel like we're in a good space to give. And then the next moment we're like, oh no, okay, now I need to receive. And I think that as anxious, beautiful, dear, sensitive spirits on the planet, like we tend to give a lot, right? And in the book Burnout, it's interesting. It talks about the human giver syndrome and how that's actually kind of a thing, right? We bend over backwards to just really help each other out. But when it comes to then offering ourselves the same type of support, love, care, or accepting all of that, at least for my own self, I'll speak for my own self, I don't do that nearly as graciously, right? It's just hard. It's hard to ask for help. And I think, again, it's just that awareness of those moments that is so key. And so it's just, it'll be a great thing to just focus on for today. So,
yeah, I think that's great, Bonnie. And I think the vacillating states idea kind of helps my brain because it's true. We need more in certain moments, but right. Joy says she has hard time doing both. I do too, but I know that I more often will give than ask for help and accept help. And to think like, okay, there's moments I'm going to need and allow that to be okay, is kind of a great frame of mind just to keep in my head. Like, this is one of those moments I actually need help. And that makes sense. I'm human,
It's so true. It's so true. And so, I think, again, like we put ourselves, if we put ourselves into another person's shoes, we bend over backwards to help each other, and just really learning to offer that same grace to ourselves in those moments that we really are needing to receive takes practice, right? It's an act of intention and practice to ask for and accept help, So, but what it also does, and Liz, what we kind of talked about earlier this week, was it really allows us, to then honor and thank the person that's shown up to help us also, which feels really good too, So that act of sort of like receiving graciously and then thanking graciously as well,
Yes. I was feeling like, you always hear that people will respond with, but then you give a person an opportunity to give to you. And although I'm like, yes, I understand the concept, it still feels hard. But yes, I like the framing but then it offers an opportunity to really like send love back to someone, right? So you are actually, even though they're giving to you, right, something, you actually are giving back to them because you get to design how you thank them, right? And just that like gracious, like that means so much to me. You have no idea how much I appreciate that. Is a gift because that's what that person then receives, and that full love is a huge part of what we need as humans, So I love thinking about it that way.
Yeah, so true. Gosh, it's so true. So pop in the comments below if you're here live with us or if you're watching just in the replay, and maybe share, a moment or a time or, what you find the most difficult about asking for help. Liz and I have kind of talked about this, in the sense of feeling like, we live in this really independent society, right? And you, Liz, made such a good point the other day when you were like, yeah, it's one thing, again, like to think that, and we hear that all the time, but another thing to really know that that's very true. Right. And I loved what you said about that, because yeah, I mean, it's true. We live in an independence driven society. Right. So, I think oftentimes for me, it's like, if I'm asking for help or accepting help on some like subconscious level, it means that, I can't do it all by myself. And then, I'm failing. Right. And I think that we equate oftentimes needing help directly to failing. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
And
not being capable, or absolutely. Just,
just not being enough. Like, and that speaks to like one of my deepest fears that comes up with my anxiety all the time, is the fear of not being enough. Right. And so asking for and accepting help can be really hard, because it kind of it can trigger those deeper fears in us. And, I think often too, as a person that experiences anxiety, we're so cognizant of how we impact other people and are really worried all the time about just being a burden on other people, so like asking for help or accepting help like feels burdensome. Right. Yeah. I love what you were talking about, Liz, where you shared just about how, like, what would our experiences be like if we weren't so individual centered, right? And how other cultures, you were talking about how other cultures really see suffering as a shared thing.
It's I agree wholeheartedly. I wonder who else struggles with that, or to like where you have a concept, you're like, I have information, I understand there's a difference, but to feel the difference, right? Because I've grown up and have learned to be such an individual. I live alone. I have most of my life, and I guess I've assumed that I should do things myself, because that's the way I've been taught in a society that I've been raised in that way, right? But what you're speaking to is, I watched this great talk by Tara Brach, who's a great meditation teacher, and she was sharing how there are some Indigenous cultures where even if a single person is suffering from anything, psychological, physical, then the whole community suffers alongside them, and the whole community enacts, this kind of quest to help with the suffering, to support the person. And so, and they literally don't see it as an individual problem. It's not like, oh, this person's suffering, we all will come help. They go, oh, this person suffering, our community, our tribe is suffering. Right. So, I mean, it's such a hard thing for me to get into my brain and body, because I just am not used to that kind of society. But imagine if that were true. Right. And I think that's one thing we try to do in this group is bring that energy of, hey, when someone's struggling, like, we all want to come in. And now it's different than that Indigenous culture that we're not trained and raised that way. But we're trying to create this like space of, hey, we got you. You often say, Bonnie, like, you're so held, and I know that you feel that in your body, and, but it's a hard thing to receive and accept that still. Like, when you tell me, I'm like, yeah. And then, right. And then it takes moments and time and energy. Like, no, that's true. Right. Like, I know that that's true, like within her heart, her existence, her being. Right. Yeah. And to then accept even that emotional offering, or that awareness or attention that we can each offer each other, is another hard thing to accept,
Yeah, it's true. I think one thing that makes it worse on a lot of levels that I've noticed, and I know you have, Liz, as well, is social media posts, right? Like, people post mostly like the good stuff, all the sunshine and roses types of things, the beautiful pictures, the family having a great time, or the vacation or whatever. And like, most of the time for most people, we don't end up posting like the low points, right? But then we end up just comparing ourselves often so much to what we're seeing on social media. And it doesn't just go for people's posts, it goes for magazines and all kinds of things, right? Where we show up and then we just end up in this place of judgment, which of course, isn't an amazing feeling to have, to be in a place of judgment of ourselves or others,
Yeah.
And just leads to more of that like scarcity mindset, right? Is essentially what it ends up doing. And fear, this again triggers that deeper fear of, oh, I'm just not enough in this moment as I am. Like, they've got it better. This family looks like they're having more fun. This mom's a better mom because she's doing these craft projects with her kids or whatever, right? And even though that's, not our intention to post those, when we post those things but many of us internalize it in that way. I know that I can. And I'm getting better now though at catching myself, right? So again, it's just this awareness of being in these different moments that make all the difference. That just your awareness is the first step towards any change, right?
Yeah. Bonnie, I should share this thought years ago I had, and like maybe someone, although I've looked up the potential for this website and it's taken, but that I thought, like, what if there was a social media platform for people to like upload all of their failures, mistakes, right? And we could just like all laugh together or support, right? And call it, instead of Facebook, face plant. So I feel like it would explode. Yeah, I've mentioned to a bunch of people, no one's taken it. So, feel free, ladies.
So funny.
But yeah, it would be a whole different take on Facebook, right? than compared to Facebook, where
it would. Yeah.
We could call our group that.
Yeah, just to share more of those human sides, because one other thing we were just chatting about is, Liz and I hop on, we do these lives and we do genuinely have a lot of fun together. But we also just want to make it really clear that we're not always happy, right? Like, we have moments where we are, upset about things or struggling with different things. And a lot of that sort of happens behind the scenes in our conversations with each other. We both have had hard things that have come up over the last few months in particular. And so, so we just kind of want to, hold space for that too. And knowing that, it's not all sunshine and roses. And it's pretty much exactly why we created this group here, right? With that acknowledgement that anxiety is hard and it's really difficult to ask for and accept help and to say out loud, like, this is really difficult for me. I am really, really struggling with this, and how, like, I need relief, and how can you help me? How can you help? I need help. And so I just really, again, want to commend all of you for being here, for being in the space, for signing up for the workshop, for leaning into that really uncomfortable space with us, because it's not easy. It's not easy.
No. And we have, and we will continue to share moments that we've struggled. Our little lives are to share some of those and also to connect the group. But I think I shared a couple of weeks ago, just like a moment that I went through anxiety with my niece in the car and how overwhelming and scary that felt. And, and the things I ended up doing, that in the moment, I'm like thinking nothing's going to work, right. That I'm doomed. And then just coming back to our strategies, Bonnie, and practicing them,
Yeah, it's so important. You had this great story, Liz, about your plumbing issue this past week, where this is like the perfect example of what we're talking about today, if you want to share it.
Sure. Okay. And I'm wondering if you have that empathy video.
Yeah.
But and the Brene Brown video. But I had a really hectic day on Monday, and I have I guess I'll share this here. I haven't been able to shower. It doesn't mean I haven't been able to bathe, but in about 2 months. And I had like a small window. I've been redoing my bathroom, small window to work on my bathroom before I had a meeting at night at 6 p.m. And I had noticed a puddle of water by my sink, my kitchen sink. And so I went to the bathroom to start doing some work, but I went to the kitchen and I had cleaned up that puddle of water in the morning, but it was there again when I went to start the project of my bathroom, right? And I thought, uh-oh. And so long story short, I opened things up underneath my cabinets and I realized I have a leak, right? And I live alone, and I'm decently handy in the home, but plumbing is terrifying. And I have 2 hours before this meeting, and it's a leak where you don't, you can't leave a leak, right? So I open it up. I realize what the issue is. I did a little research. I have like an hour and a half. I realize I won't be able to get the part in, open up, I had to pull out my dishwasher, go into my sink, you know? And I remember these words from my mother that said, like, why are you always doing things on your own? Just like call when you need help. Well, you're like, yeah, you know, my body's like, yeah, like you know, no one's going to drive 15 minutes to come here and help me, right? But I'm remembering these words and I'm like, Liz, just suck it up. You know, like call.
Yeah.
And so I did, and I was like, hey, you know, what are you doing right now? You know that thing that you said? So I asked her, you know, and she was like, okay, you know, and I'm sorry, already feeling like, oh no, that okay wasn't solid, you know.
Right.
But she got the part and brought it over, and I mean, I just in time, you know, for me to then replace the part, which was awesome. I felt very empowering to be able to replace it and then get back, you know, jump on with the meeting that I had, like the meeting.
Yeah.
So it took me a moment, and even my own mother is a hard time asking for help, you know. But I did, and yay.
Yay. Well, it was such a good example of exactly what we are talking about today, you know. So if you're here, we'd love to hear the ways, maybe what's one way that you've asked for help recently, you know. Have you asked for help with something recently? I know for me, you know, I just started a master's program, and I have a lot of spinning tops right now. And what's been so great is my husband has really just shown up and, you know, been doing some of the things that I would normally do, just because he knows that I'm working on school. And, you know, that has felt so nice. And, you know, we as a couple, we are like kind of funny communicators, right? Like he's not a man of many words. Like he's definitely more of an actions person. And so anytime I'll say, you know, like, hey, thank you for doing that, or thank you for cleaning, he's just like, oh, you know, it's fine. You know, we're like 99% sarcasm with each other. It's just kind of our way.
That's funny.
But you know, like it's good practice for me to be like, I really appreciate that you are picking up the slack in those areas so that I can do some schoolwork, you know, and I know that he sees it as a goal for not only me, but our family, of just, furthering my education and all of that. But yeah, it's still really humbling to have people come in and work to support you. And then, you know, like I even feel a little blushy even like talking about it, you know, because I'm like, oh, you know, so, and
it's hard.
Yeah, it is. It's really hard. So so we'd love to hear from you if there's any ways that you've asked for help or maybe accepted help recently. And also today's a big day. Like we start our workshop on Monday, and you know, we've been doing a lot of DMing, and Maria's here with us today. Thanks for being here, Maria. And Dottie's been messaging people behind the scenes. And so we just really, really want to hear from you. It helps to guide our experience in the workshop so much better when we know the kinds of things that you need. What is some of the things that are coming up for you right now that you really need help with? And another thing that we were talking about earlier this week that we really wanted to share with you is this brilliant video by Brene Brown. And it really talks about the difference between empathy and sympathy, right? And again, sometimes I think that we can ask for help from people that may offer it, but don't necessarily or maybe want to show up to follow through with the offer, if that makes sense, right? And so, just to be mindful of, you know, the ways that we are interacting with each other, right? Because empathy and sympathy and the differences between those two things are really interesting and fantastically put together in this video by Brene Brown. So I'm going to pull it up and see. And Liz, you'll have to help me because I realized now that we haven't really shared sound. Yeah, and so
If it doesn't work, we can always post it later and people can comment on it.
It's just like a 3-minute video. We thought it would be really
yeah,
fun to share.
and Michelle, what Maria said is right on.
Okay, so you can still hear me, yeah?
Can you not hear me?
Okay.
You can.
Let's see real quick here. I'm gonna switch this. And
Bonnie, can you hear me?
thanks for your patience, everybody.
Michelle, you can just comment and then we will see it, as Maria said. So feel free to.
Let's see. Liz, I actually can't hear you right now.
Yeah, I know.
But it's because I unplugged my unplugged my headphones. Right. So in a second here, I'll share my mic and you can just let me know if the sound is actually sharing as well. Okay.
Yeah, Donna.
Can you hear that?
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah, maybe we just. All right. Wait, are you playing it?
Let's see.
The others might be able to, though. Oh, Maria can hear both of us. Okay. Maria, could you hear the video? Curious. But Donna Marie, yeah. So need to learn how to slow down and stop being on the go the whole time. Yes. Bonnie and I can super relate.
Okay. I still can't hear you, Liz. So I'm just going to let you talk for a second.
Yep.
There, okay. Now I can hear you. Yeah. So you couldn't hear my sound. Yeah.
I could hear you, but not your sound. And
not the video.
Yeah. So that's good troubleshooting that we, Thanks.
I'm just going to pop it in the chat and so that you friends can see it. But essentially, what the difference is really between empathy and sympathy is that, and it's the video, you'll have to watch the video. It's just so funny the way that Brene does it. But, if you're in the hole or if someone is in the hole, right? Sympathy is kind of walking to the top of the hole and being like, hey, you okay down there? I see you're in a hole. That's a bummer for you. Like, want a sandwich, right? Whereas empathy is the act of like getting on the ladder, climbing down the hole, sitting beside the person and just holding their hand, holding that space, not trying to fix anything, listening deeply, right? With your heart. And I just think that it's a really important distinction to make and important to when we offer help to other people or when we ask for or accept help, right? To just keep that in mind, right? The genuine aspect of offering or receiving help,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Makes such a huge
and the
difference.
part I love about the video, which was super helpful for me, I know I've shared with you, Bonnie, is that she says, empathy rarely, no, is it? Yeah. Empathy rarely begins with the sentence, at least. Right. So what she means by that is, right, if I'm suffering and I'm sharing with Bonnie, right, and Bonnie wouldn't say this, but if Bonnie's like, well, at least you have food for tonight and a roof over your head, right? Yeah. And to me, that hit me so hard because that's the way I was raised. That was my childhood. And now I've had this talk with my mom, so it's okay that I share this. And she handled it very well. When I watched this video, I think for the first time, like 6 or 8 years ago, I sent it to her very kindly with some words, like, this is the way I know, and I was wondering why that never felt good. Never felt right, where I'd be hurting and then someone would be like, well, at least, and you'd be like, yeah, even if it's true, right? We know there are people that suffer more than us in some ways and we know the opposite, but that doesn't mean that your suffering isn't valid. And so I remember being like, oh, at least. So maybe that can help some of you too. And when you're talking with folks, right? If your brain and mind is drawn to say the words at least, right? Maybe reconsider, right?
Yeah.
Because it means we're not sitting with the person and honoring that. And it's such a simple concept to keep in your mind, but we're not honoring that their suffering is real for them.
Yeah, it's so true.
I did want to, I was talking, sorry, to Donna Marie, Bonnie, when you came back on and just didn't get to answer her. But yeah, the slowing down, her comment is, I need to learn how to slow down and stop being on the go the whole time. I know that you and I both struggle with that because we're multitaskers, right?
It is very true.
I don't know if you have any strategies that have helped you, but I know that and Bonnie knows this is true, I weave mindful moments into my days and my weeks and my months on purpose to intentionally cause me to slow down. And my favorite Wednesday one, Bonnie knows, is when I water my plants. I have a relationship with them now. So I take a really long time to water my plants. And I look at each of the leaves. I'm looking at one right now. And I look at things that have changed or colorations and I notice new growth. And it's a way I intentionally choose to slow down so that my body is learning that practice, that helps me.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. I think for me too, building in, like, anytime I make a cup of tea, I really intentionally just sit with the tea. It activates something in me that I'm like, oh, just lovely, warm smelling tea, and it just, again, activates something in my body that triggers that, like now's a moment just to chill, and I think you're right. A lot of mindfulness practices help us to do that, but it's true. And such a good point because, again, society wise, cultural wise, we really are in this rat race, right? And if you're not consistently moving, doing, going, we equate that also to failure, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, that's cultural conditioning that's been laid down upon us. Again, not our fault. I say that a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so your awareness of it, again, is that first step towards changing it, right? Changing it for your own self, knowing that we don't have to live in the rat race, right? When you go outside and just, okay, I'm here. I don't live in a big city, so this might be different for you. But if you get out into nature, right, and you just look around, nothing there is moving quickly to the eye, right? The trees are there. They might be swaying in the breeze. There might be little insects crawling, but it's there's a stillness about being out in nature, I think, that's really beautiful, and that I think is really important to my practice of helping me to slow down and then recognizing that. And my friend Katie talked about this in a workshop she led a while ago, but it's really us that are moving quickly, when we get out into the world and get out into nature and we sit there and notice, there's a lot happening. I'm not saying that there's a lot going on in the forest or, at the ocean or whatever, but it's it's us that are moving so quickly. And there's this, I've shared this before, but I'll share it again because I think it's so profound. The Chinese characters for busyness or being busy are dying heart, dying heart. And when I learned that, I was like, oh, but it's so true, It speaks to that just overwhelm and exhaustion with consistently trying to keep up with this fast paced society that we live in, many of us have just kind of gone along with in this rat race for a while. So again, that awareness, I think, is so incredibly important to our shifting and changing of how we are.
Right. And relates to, well, so what I was going to, if we're honest, the work won't end. Right? You don't eventually will, but I mean, you're not okay, they're done. I've done the laundry forever, or, or research this topic and I'm done, right? It always leads to something else. Work doesn't end. So it's not about getting the work done. It's about how to live while you're doing the work, how to live well while you're doing the work, including asking for help and receiving help, which is our main topic for today. But, I love, there's this woman that gave a TED Talk. I'll have to look for it. But she was talking about working with her clients who are struggling around all these emotions, and, and she asked them, well, but what are your goals? Like, to not feel anything? Like, those are dead person goals. And I was like, well, I was like, that's, it was an intense phrase, but she would use it often to remind them, like, living is to feel emotion, hard and easy, right? And just to remind them that they are human to go through these emotions, right? And that everyone can relate and everyone can experience and everyone needs help, and like, we're not the only anything really when it comes to emotion and hardship, and that, we're alive, and that's going to involve so many struggles and, and anxiety and stress, and, and so to learn how to work with it instead of wish it were away, yeah, it's a very, kind of eye-opening, like, oh, right, like, I don't want to, I want to experience, right? But I have to accept all of the experience of being alive,
Yeah. Which can feel so hard.
Yeah.
I just one last quick note before we lead into a little mindful moment and head out for the day. But, again, a huge reason why we're here in this group, and one of the strategies that we teach and work towards is village, right? And really looking at, like, who is a part of your village? What is the messaging that is a part of your village, right? And, we have many different villages that we can be a part of, like our family village or our friend village, our relationship or work village. And really that we have the power over how we choose to land in whatever village that it might be, right? And that we all have the power to create more willingness and more of a culture and feeling around asking for receiving help as being more of a normal thing, right? So if you're in a village that's really toxic, families are different, right? Like, no one can really exactly remove yourself per se from your family. I mean, you can, right? And I think that creating really healthy boundaries if you're in a really toxic family is really important. But that we have the choice to remove ourselves from some of that toxic energy, and negativity, and move towards creating, like, if you look at, like, what kind of village would you like to be in? Would you like to be in a village where you can ask for help and be supported, right? Be on the receiving and giving end.
Yes.
When you need it. And so how do you create that? And who are the kinds of people that hold those same values? Like, those are all really, really good questions to ask, right? It's what we're trying to create here. Like, I would really like to be in a village full of people who are able to show up and offer help when they can, and who are okay with also receiving help, and asking for help. So thank you just for being here as a part of our extended village. It's such a beautiful thing to see the village grow and connect, and watch all of you just show up for each other behind the scenes. And it's just been really lovely to be in this group and see all of your comments and kindness, Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, well said, Bonds.
Yeah. Well, we are so happy to be here with all of you. We're so excited for Monday this coming week as the start of our workshop. I'm so excited. I've just been behind the scenes getting all the little nitty-gritty things done. So your worksheets, your little journal will be coming out to you this week if you've registered. Make sure that you check your email this week. We'll probably send a few. So in case you miss one, that you'll make sure that you have everything that you need. Tomorrow night, we are also going to host, I'm like, tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which may be, who knows what time for you, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to host just a Zoom welcome session for everyone. And so if you want to hop on with Liz and I, it'll be a great time. We're just going to do an overview of the workshop and make sure that you're set up with your, worksheets and your journal and all the resources that you need. You can ask us any questions about the workshop that you might have. It'll just be such a great way to kind of kick things off for this coming week. We're so excited to just be with all of you. Yeah. All right, Liz, are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Joy. We'll get to your comment later, but yeah, I hear that. All right, let's have a little mindful moment. So let's just find our comfortable seat, bonsai. And we can just all together as this village, as this community, allow our arms to fall, our eyes to follow suit. You can simply lower your eyes or close them. Let's take one long, beautiful breath here together. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Here we go. Inhale. In your own time, exhale. And just allow your body to sink a little deeper, feel a little heavier. Draw some attention to around the eyes. Can you release any need to hold on to tension here? They have no work for now. And then can you do the same with your shoulders, allowing your neck and spine to feel long, but have no work here. And on your next breath, on your inhale, feel the full softness of your front body, your belly, your heart, how soft it can be. And on your exhale, feel the strength and groundedness in your back. And as you continue to connect with your breath here, just draw that softness, that awareness of the softness of your front into your mind's eye. And on the exhale, draw and ground down that strength of your back. Beautiful. And as you take your next breath, bring your attention to your heart. And today, let's see it like a blossom, a flower. And if you're searching for what that might look like, just feel your way. Feel as though a flower were to sit inside you. Something beautiful and strong, but also delicate. Can you feel the details of this flower? The petals, do you feel they are open or closed? Notice the softness. And then wherever you are with your flower, watch as you breathe here, watch it begin to slowly open. If not already, watch it blossom. And continuing to breathe, repeat to yourself, I am worthy of asking for help. I am worthy of receiving help. Continue to breathe and just feel these two statements. Allow your flower to be full with this mantra, with this truth. I am worthy of asking for help. I am worthy of receiving help. Watch as your blossom, your flower, holds this truth for you. For you to tap into at a later time. Feel and know its presence is here for you. And then take a long, beautiful breath in through the nose and out through the nose. And you can begin to wiggle your fingers like they're sparkling. Twist your wrists. And then bring your attention back to those soft eyes. And take a long, beautiful breath as you allow them to slowly open back up.
Oh, thanks, Liz. So lovely.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Oh, Joy, I just wanted to speak to your comment really quick before we hop off. It's hard to reach out when you don't get it. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that as well. Again, my friend Katie, I brought her up earlier, Katie Gray, she's just a fantastic person. She really talks about, and she shared this with me, and I always hold it in my heart that we can step forward with love and we can step backward with love, right? And if you're in that moment of not getting the empathy piece, that might just not be something that other human can offer to you, right? Like it might not be within their capacity for whatever reason, for lots of reasons, right? Since we all just have been on our own life path and journey and are products of our experience, right? And so it's okay, right? And to sort of release from that and step backward with love, right? It's a tenet that I hold close to my heart for a lot of different reasons, and I use often, right? Because it is really good to be able to create boundary. And if you can't say something like, I just need you to listen, and it's not accepted or well received, or it's not in the capacity of the other person, right? Then I think that the other way that we can utilize that is to really then reflect back and listen to ourselves deeply, offer ourselves, we have everything within us, right? To be able to show up and offer ourselves those listening ears and kindness and compassion. And we are also wired for connection. So really seeking out places of people like us here, that are really willing to just listen, so.
Yeah. And Joy, I can relate so very much. I've literally lost friends over this issue, and there are going to be times when there have been moments where I've asked for help and it's not only been not offered, but was responded with. I'm thinking of a specific instance about a year ago with just unkindness, but it's not me, it's the capacity of that person, and it actually was so intense that it shocked me into intentionally practicing mindfulness more. At that time in my life, I still, I don't reach out to, I'm a person of many close, or a few close friends versus many people. I'm not a huge socialite. So I tend to go to those few friends. And at the time she had been a friend of mine for years and just wasn't able to offer. And you know what? I went back, I spent the next month practicing a lot of meditation, mindfulness, realized a lot of things of what I needed for myself that I wasn't honoring. And she came back to me about a month later and was like, sent me a picture and was like, I'm so sorry, and I have not, and I was able to release of it, and I said, that's okay, it's okay. And I think she still holds a little bit of embarrassment around that, even though I keep reaching out to say it's okay, but yeah, I can so relate to that. Some people just aren't able to, what Bonnie, you were saying. And that's really hard. It can hurt, especially if you make yourself very vulnerable and then it's really that it's denied or not honored,
And you're right, Liz, you spoke to such an important point there, is that that's their stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's their stuff. It's not about you, right? And I think sometimes we really make it about us, because it does feel painful, right? But it's their issue, right? Yeah. Maybe that'd be a good talk for another couple weeks. Like, yeah. So yeah, well, we honor you all for being here. We see you, we hear you. I just really can't say that from a deeper place in my being. We're so happy to be here with all of you. So enjoy your week or the rest of your week. And we'll be so excited to see you either tomorrow night for the welcome call that we're doing, the little welcome session. And we'll make sure to tag you in that post. I created it yesterday, but I'll make sure I tag those of you in there so that you can all see it. And we'll send an email out as well so that you have all of the Zoom. We're going to do it over Zoom so that we can actually talk, which I'm really excited about. And then Monday starts our workshop, Curiously Anxious. So excited to just be here with you in the space and really excited to see you. Again, we'll still be doing our live session next week at the same time. After the live, we might hop on a couple minutes later, maybe 10:05, 10:10. And yeah, we'll just be really happy to be here with all of you. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you back.
Yes.
Have a lovely day.
Love sparkles. Talk to you soon.